kgatlhane mo re kgatlhanetswe ke lekgotla le le bitswang Rivone. Rivone ke lebitso la Setsonga le bolelang kganya, ke gore kganya ga re re Rivone. Ha ke lebelela mo tafoleng ke bona bogogo ba ne ba le teng maloba ga ne re kgatlhana gape. Ga se la ntlha re kgatlhana yana. Pele ke ya kgakala ne ke tla simolola mo gogo mo re yana re introduce
Thokozani bogogo nabo Dr. bakhona phakathi kwethu, uNontuthuzelo Mashishi Nimjebu, originally East London, ndithwase ekhaya East London, ndabuya futhi ndazokuthwasa khona lapha. Igama lami lomnyanga uNtombuzuko. Ngiyabonga.
Donald Ndala owathola umnyango eComedy Port. Namhlanje sengilapha eMamelodi lapha ngihlala khona. Ngiyabonga.
Naki Caroline Mkweli. Nilisema nawaka kwa mpeki. Imo Mamelodi ina behaviorist.
Sanibona abantu abadala. Igama ngisibongile wabahlomani engifundi.
Sanibona. Igama lami nguElmethuma, ngomunye wayile ekule program lena ye-Windows Nutrition.
Thokozani bogogo. Igama lami ngiNosina Mkhuba, labo gogo ngimagwaza. Ngiyabonga.
Thokozani bogogo. Lebitso la ka ke Francina Ralichani. Ke thwasitswe kwa Matipote ka madule ke ka Mamelodi.
Thokozani bogogo. Lo kukhuluma yona uSmali Bogo waseSoweto. Thokozani.
Thokozani bogogo. Mina ngumzandiya wakwena ngithwase ebusinga eMpumalanga.
Sanibona. Igama ngingu-Elejambele ngihlala eSoshana.
Thokozani bogogo. Mina ngugogo Lizinkosi, ngithwase eMpumalanga, igama lami lamadlozi uDuma kude.
Dumelang bogogo. Lebitso ke Lucia Makhubo. Lebitso la tswalo ke Matienga manje. Amen. Ka letswalo ke tswalo ko lefatshe la ko Zimbabwe. Ka bodulo ke dula mo Soweto. Amen.
Thokozani bogogo. Nna ke nna a woman in agriculture, including hape in women in coalition. Ke dula kwa Mabopane. Lebitso ke nna Audrey Tlaleto.
Siyabingelela abantu mina nguNobelo Rasroka. Ngizalwa kwaXaba kodwa ngihlala eTshwane. kata incwadi sase-University of Botswana.
Sanibonani bantu uyiswa ukugcina ndisebenza ne-organization ebizwa Indigenous Belief System of South Africa Trust.
Dumelang batho bao. Ke bitswa ke Palesa Motlwenya, ke tswa ka organisation e bitswang South African Chapter of African Renaissance. Ke a leboha.
Dumela batho bao. Tsela re pelo mabedi di sebetsa ho ba lena e ditse mona.
Thokozani. Mina nguWalisa Rode. Ngathwasa le emhlabeni yalena. Thokozani.
Thokozani Bogo. Lebitso la ka ke Itumetse Makgao. Ke sebetsa as a medical practitioner and ke na le interest mo natural and alternative healing.
Thokozani Bogogo. Igama nguZanele Mazibuko. Ngisebenzele organization le ebizwa Rivone. Thokozani.
Leone Gama, ngisebenzela i-organization ebizwa i-Rivone enye ebizwa Arosa, mara yona izohamba next year.
Aritsogo ka goroganeng Dr. Matsiba Maro yo tla tla le Mekhoza from Nelspruit yena sa le motselo mena o tla goroga kwa airport around 10 o'clock and then ba tla mo isa straight kwa. Today ntho e re kopantseng ke gore dingaka le di-doctor di kopanye tlhogo around taba tsa health, nutrition and health, nutrition and poverty. The reason we needed these issues on the table, health, nutrition, poverty, is because the study affect very, very directly. Di reama yana ka diaparo tse di apere tlala maungo a dijalo le botshelo ba batho. Malobanyana yana nna le buiswane re ile bona minister wa agriculture re bua le ena ka tsa ICSA ebile ga re fetsa ra dumellana gore go na le tlala, go na le malwetse le gore re tla etsa yang gore re fodise batho gape kamo re boele ka moragonyana yana ka ne re rutilwe ke bagolo gore re itse gore maungo a jalwang a re fa botshelo. Ithema suka lapha uminister wanika map ye-South Africa. Mawubheka kule map le iyabonisa ukuthi mawufuna amadumbe wathola kuphi. Uma ufuna baba angazi babiza napha amabhambara mara nakizile ditlobo. Habatla ditlobo gore ukudla lokho kwakudala kwesiko. Minister of Agriculture ufuna ukuthi sibuyele khona sitshale lokho ukudla lokho ngoba kuyaphilisa mabele jalo. Gape ya re ha re bua le yena ra confirma gape ra ke tshwanelo gore ICSA e etelle pele taba ya go simolola medicinal plant gardens. ICSA se identified 6 provinces where most of the medicinal plant garden in Tlabamo. Limo, interested in Palafalaki, who recreate the resource study. And the Tahopola, who General Masola Tokofala. United seeking a cure. e le gore re lebeletse malwetse a mmalwa ga re dutse yana go na le dingaka mo tse itseng sengwe kapa sengwe ka malwetse ao, cancer, HIV, tuberculosis, malaria, jalo. So re kgobokane yana gore re tle re buisane ka yona taba e re ke neele mo go Zanele gore yena a e tsenye mo kutlwaneng ya gore ga re simolola tiro e re isa bokae mo morafeng, mme mazoko o monnyane ke neela marapo mo baele.
When I was requested to set a tone for this roundtable, I did a little bit of research on the three elements, which is poverty, nutrition, and health. And in doing my research, I looked around the internet with what is happening generally on these three elements in South Africa. And also I looked also what is the World Health Organization saying about those three elements. And one of the things that I found when I was doing this research was a report based on a speech that was delivered by Archbishop Jomo, who is the president of the African Monitor on Poverty. And on his report, one of the things that he reported on was that the African Monitor, which monitors levels of poverty in South Africa, has warned that the country is facing a state of emergency with high levels of poverty and unemployment. He further said the findings of a countrywide poverty hearing in Cape Town, he said the finding paints a bleak picture. He said the country is sitting on a time bomb with close to 50% of population living in poverty. And he further said his organization is urgently coordinating a charter of action which will hold government accountable to improve the situation. After finding these findings by this report, I then went onto the World Health Organization website. Basically, I wanted to do research with how do the three elements link to each other? Are they intertwined? Are they related? Or should we treat them separately? But out of that, that research, also I would like to read you paragraphs that I have found from that article. And one of the paragraphs reads that poverty could still be regarded as one of the dominant factors affecting nutrition. On the other hand, poverty and ill health are intertwined. The article says poor countries tend to have worse health outcomes than better off countries. It says poverty breeds ill health, and ill health keeps poor people poor. The article further said, what is important to note is that nutritional status is influenced by both food and non-food factors. Some of the non-food factors are education, awareness about hygiene and nutrition, availability of socially provided basic needs is also a reflection of an overall poverty statistics in the country. In that broad sense, poverty could still be regarded as a dominant factor that affects nutrition. Basically, I'm sharing this findings of my research to say that in most of the time when we look at poverty, poverty is related to ill health, is related to nutrition. But also, according to the World Health Organization, is that one of the dominant elements that can affect poverty and ill health and even nutrition is education. So that was, I was not alarmed because it's not the first time that I hear of such. But what Dr. Solote has just reflected here saying, most of the poor people are Africans. And he also said, African people, he also said, during the meeting that he had with the minister was promoting organic food, which is food that can be planted or can be established by poor people, because they have the knowledge of how to do that, and they can even sustain and maintain themselves, nutrition and their health, by providing themselves with such organic food. I just wanted to share some of these things with you. And now I'll go back to Arosa and why exactly we are here and what we aim to achieve by this roundtable. Rivone, please pardon me. Rivone. When we said as an organization, Dr. Solote has elaborated on it. We thought the things that affect most people a lot is health, nutrition, and poverty. And then we sat as an organization and reflected with what is it that we can do as Africans to contribute to quality of life of the poor people of our country. And one way of contributing, we decided that let's look at these elements and see what are the indigenous way of contributing to life. But we say we can't only look at the indigenous way because we also live in this era where we are in contact with our biomedical doctors and the Western knowledge. It is in that regard that we decided that perhaps we should have a dialogue where traditional healers and biomedical doctors sit down and really interrogate with what is the way forward or what are the solutions that South Africans and also Africans can really come up with based on contributing to human life. Yesterday we had a board meeting, and one of the things that we identified was that most of the time when you go to a Western doctor, it is very seldom that, I stand to be corrected by you, it is very seldom that the doctor, more with diabetes, more perhaps when you have a headache, can then recommend or what food can they recommend. They just treat your headache and give you pills and you go home. But I stand to be corrected by you, doctor. But do you have a plan with it? Maybe to eliminate some of the ailments in your body? Maybe here is a plan, a food plan.
Okay, as a general, I cannot say whether all doctors do or all doctors don't, but as part of our training, we do know that especially for diabetics, hypertensive, that there is a dietary management. In fact, for most conditions, there is a dietary management. So we are supposed to, yes, explain to the patient that yes, dietary management, you must now avoid certain foods, you must now eat certain foods. And I know in public sector, if you are at a secondary or even tertiary institution, it's much easier because they have dietitians there. So what you do is, say you're working in diabetic clinic, hypertensive clinic, then you refer to the dietitian for assessment, for advice. So it does happen, particularly in the public sector. But for private sector, because time sometimes is an issue with consultation, I cannot guarantee that most doctors do take the time to tell the patient about dietary management.
On the other hand, I'm not sure if the traditional doctors do the same. But maybe I will ask one of the traditional healers to respond. Ukuthi mawugula abogogo sikoma kuba khona na isikhathi bakutshela ukuthi lesifo lesi sikuphethe sifuna ukuthi ungadli lokudla okunje udle lokhu ngathi noma khona doctor ongakho.
Mrs. Mokwe, nagare ka bolelela motho gore o je eng o seke wa ja eng tota motho o motsho o disea kae ga wane mo ditleliniking ga ngaka ya ba gora bare o seke wa ja se o je se pele ne ba fa batho dijo and then le bana ba bannyane ne ba fa batho dijo ba feeding schemes ba fa bana ba bannyane gore o phedise one o ka sekete ka one ngone o tshwere ke 1 2 3 jaanong rona go disea kae because government how do you think next?
Thank you. We do it. Maybe izodependa ke ngokuthi ulwazi lwethu lungakanani na because asifani asilingani. Kodwa ke usually we tell them because you look at the condition yomuntu yena lo ubona ukuthi mhlawumbe ngesizathu uthola avuvukile izinyawo aze lapha kakhulu umbheka njena kwakho njena uassessa kwakho njengoba sentsho ukuthi kuyadependa ukuthi wena umuntu onjani uyabona ukuthi lo muntu lo mhlawumbe okanye unid ukuthi angadli ukudla okunezwayi neshukela futhi uthola ukuthi empeleni nyani makaye ku-doctor bathi lo muntu lona u-diabetic so uyabheka i-condition umassesse umuntu esikhathini esiningi uthola ukuthi you are accurate yebo.
Really traditional healers but really training re ya khona go botsa molwedi just like o ya ka mokgwa ba bolela mo re a rugile maoto o khona go mmotsa gore ne fokotsa go ja nama e khibilo e je e butswitse go butswa gore e se half and then le ka go ja merogo a re lekeng go ja dinawa tse tsa go oma di ra di reka ka mo 5 rand a di be di tura ka mokgwa and then ka mo di jarteng tsa rena re lekeng go jwala bo ditamati bo mazambane bo di-cabbage bo di-spinach ke ka mo re ba encourage-ang gore ge ba tlile o ka ge o mo lebelela ke a go alafa bolwetse mara le wena try ya go ja dijo tse di loketseng mmele wa gago ke a leboga.
ka tlase go batho ba kulang e re nka tshwantsha jalo ka ngwana ga ba tlise lesea fumane le na le dimpa tse kgolo maoto a sa balance fumane gore ke ngwana o ka beng a sa ja dijo empa ka lebaka la gore ka lebaka la tlhoko ga o le mme mongaki kapa ntate mongaki wa kgona go mo etsetsa pizza ya go mo fa maatla gore a kgone go thuba mpa then a kgone go bulega pelo a je tsietsi ya batswadi ke gore nako nngwe re bolele fela re o nka khabetšhe e na le beetroot gore dijo tse tswang tshimong o di kgotlakgotle o kopanye o jese ngwana gore di kgone go mo fa bophelo mo mmeleng empa le dipitsa tsa go di pheya re etsetsa gore di kgone go bula pelo then re thube le dimpa tseo tsa ngwana gore a tie the same le batho ba bagolo go na le batho ba bagolo ba bang batlang o fumane gore ga o mo sheba ka nnete go na le tlhoko ya dijo mmeleng wa gae jwanong dipitsa tse re beetsetsang tsone o fumane gore ke dipitsa tse batlang gore a je tsietse kore dijo tseo ga dijo empa ga re na le ditshimonyana tse nyane la le carrot o nke o kopanye dijo tseo ka fela o di kgotla beetsetse motogo ka tsone gore a kgone go dinwa gore be dijo tse dulang mmele ngwana.
ke kgolwa ntho e kgolo e re tshwantseng re ilo ba ba ngwalang ke e re itsweng ke mme kana mme ke mang Mokoena le mme Bushia ba re itse a very important thing e re tshwantseng re ile re phagamise ga ntse re nagana ka yone dingaka tsa sekgowa le dingaka tsa setso ya re ga re bone bolwetse re bua ka bona re be re bolela gore itša yana le yana le yana e re le ga ntse ba ira yalo ba itse gore ka nako tse dingwe batho ba ba tlhoka ke e tabe kgolo yana gore yaanong rona re le dingaka ga re itse taba e re ire eng gore le ka moso a molwetse a tla re bona taba e ka gore a itse gore motho mongwe a ka tlhoka re tlo mo eletsa yang gore ga a tloga mo a ilo ira eng gore a sa dire sepe o tlo nna go tshwana le gore a tla mo ngakeng tsona ne ke re re underline that thing so that later on re boele mo yone re bone gape ntho e mme na bua ka yone gore a go na le di-government departments tse re bone e ka yang on behalf ya batho ba dutseng ra lo negotiatera government health government DTI government DT a re ireng yana ka gore dingaka di identifile the following ne ke re ke bena
Ngiyabonga kakhulu. Ngibonge for le discussion le because le discussion le I think it's the same reason why Rivone was established. To discuss this matter that we're discussing with you. If izinyanga nabodokotela besilungu banendlela la abahamba khona efanayo kunendlela ezifanayo abahamba ngazo. How is it possible that we can then team up sisebenze as a-team ama-indigenous ama-traditional doctors nama-western doctors. So Rivone is established for those reasons ukuthi yini lo esingakwenza ukuthi sisebenzisane sonke esingabodokotela base-South Africa abatraining ngokwesintu nabatraining ngokwesilungu. And so reflected to last time sisaba ne-roundtable abanye bogogo abalabe bakhona roundtable and besikhuluma ngezempilo nge-health kuyo. And ama-recommendations that came out of i-roundtable yokuqala abogogo nabo-doctor besilungu baye bacela ukuthi kumele sibe nama-workshop la khona sikhuluma khona ngohlelo elingaba khona ukuthi siqhubele umsebenzi lo. Kuyaba nesivumelano la ukuthi kumele si-create indawo la sizokhuluma khona ngezempilo. And then kuye kwashiwo futhi ukuthi kumele si-create ama-infrastructures lapho esizokhona ukugcina imithi yethu. And then sesasho ku-the last roundtable ukuthi kune-organization already ebizwa i-indigenous knowledge systems already yenza lowo msebenzi lowo. Enye into futhi eyasho ukuthi kumele ukuthi kube khona ama-systems ayenza ukuthi information abodokotela besintu abasinikeza yona sikwazi ukuyi-protect. And again lapho sishilo ukuthi i-organization ye-ICSA iyasebenza ngalo msebenzi lowo wokuprotecta i-information ngoba masikhuluma kakhulu ngabodokotela besintu kukhona i-knowledge la bathi it's sacred khona le i-secret. So sesakhuluma kakhulu nga those two items, yes, sacredness and secret. And then sesaba nama recommendations also Dr. Sroto highlights ukuthi izinyanga zingayenza kanjani ukuthi zikhona ukuprotecta the sacred information. And then enye into a recommendation from our last roundtable was that kumele senze i-research kwamanye ama-country, senze i-research ngabodokotela besintu nabodokotela besilungu futhi. And then also that we may send the research into our own systems. And I think we just did a bit of a roundup. How do we conduct ourselves as our Dr. C2 and our Dr. Sulu by reflecting with so bonke our doctors, they do ask about the health. So that I think that was part of basic research about our own systems. And then we are sure we create a simultaneous interpretation facilitation. Leyo I think izosinceda kakhulu ngoba izosinceda in terms of language. Ngoba mangikhuluma with my broken Zulu lengikhuluma ngayo, ugogo omunye akhuluma ngeShangane, omunye akhuluma Sotho, sizozwana sonke. But again, sisachaza ukuthi ICSA is also doing a project on that. And then lastly, Melissa supported the creation of the regulatory body as stated in the Act. Melissa supported our policies, our government aid. So I understand and then so I support it because I am a team. So I just needed to reflect on the roundtable here last time, and also to say namhlanje ke okusize ngabo ukuthi sikhulume further ukuthi yini into esingayenza singabodokotela besilungu nabodokotela besintu ukuthi senze sure ukuthi ngoba kuthiwa kugcwele inhlupheko la eSouth Africa, yiziphi izindlela esizaziyo thina ezingayenza ukuthi try ukuqeda inhlupheko. Yebo sibheke ugovernment wethu, but also we have our own ways as a people ukuthi njengoba uDr. Bekashilo ukuthi siqale ukutshala, njengoba Bekashilo ukuthi ezinye inyanga ziyatshala ukuthi zicontribute ku-healthy ama-patients abo. I think ngizogcina lapho and then hand over to uDr.
So maybe the introduction is an alliance. It must lead us somewhere. It's clearly like this, and we're discussing. So the objective should be we should arrive at an agreement. When we look at these three things, nutrition, poverty, health, our approach to it as both Inyanga and biomedics is the following. Because must agree on that, we will then look and say what other skills do we need, which we must make sure that happens. Now we know, as was stated here, there is a lot of skills which are here. And if we bring those skills together, they can make an impact. But then maybe we should also discuss our resources to ensure that that impact happens. Where do we get those resources? Umama lapho ubikile wathi mina ngiyinyanga but I'm a herbalist also. So we know there is a herbalist somewhere. Abogogo bonke abahleli la siyazi ukuthi banendumba endlubeni unemithi. UDoctor uhleli la siyazi ukuthi une-surgery. I-surgery yakhe ukuthi there's institutions which are backing us now. Besides ukuthi sithi thina sihlanganisa our minds, we should also look at how we bring the institutions that are behind us together so that they assist us. So that's the first step. So the question is you are doing this so that what must happen? So when I tell about the the government has established 5 priorities. It's 5 or 4? 4. 4. National priorities. We are dealing with 4. Yeah. So ukuthi share nabogogo nabodokotela ukuthi government at the present moment would be willing to assist if we lock ourselves into the following 4 things. And then we discuss as it thina siyinyanga singabodokotela. How do we then interpret these 4 things to contribute towards alleviation of poverty, contribute to understanding of nutrition, contribute towards understanding of health? So when I it is let's shift there. I know that we're taking your time to Uguisa, but we'll come to you. Uguisa later on will facilitate on all of these things. But I thought we should come there. And after see begin this thing, then we come to another thing. These 4 things must tell us this work that we're going to do around the 4 things. How do they complement what government is doing? So number 1, we're looking at institutions and expertise and skill economy. Number 2, we're saying how do we use expertise, skill, and scenario to enhance the 4 national priorities. Number 3, we then said after we have enhanced them, how do they make sure that what government is doing, we complement? If we complement what government is doing, then we become partners with government. So this is the main objective is tonight, to reach that point where we are partners with government in impacting on the 3 things that we have talked about. It before Mufala, I must raise another thing. On the 6th of November next month, and we must already extend as that thing which is wrong is not addressed in a very systematic manner. Sibizwa abantu abadala ukuthi sisizeni si-understand ukuthi yini kuna lama problem. Abantu bazavumane bagule. Sizalungisa la kumoshekela, silungise la kumoshekela. So there is a bigger problem that we have to address also. And Mina, I would say that after the 4 which assist us to complement government, we should put that according to ISEGO, you can't just treat an individual. You treat an individual, but the individual also leads you to the community. And you look at the community like Pumakona and say, how do we make sure that this community nayo iyalapha in the manner is pertaining. Wala kumuntu hypertension uyela community kune barikinga sizulu. Fanele kwe mzulu masamba singahlekela naye. Udlami. Last year doctor yam stethoscope what now tablets for hypertension. They were approved. Into the community. Potentially other people. What do we do to complement the 2 as the 5th one? Mhlambe manje I'll hand over to Uguisa so that she can do her introductions and assist us to look at how to move forward. Please.
Basically, before i-discussion, siresponde kwizinto eziraiswe nguzanele nodokta. Kubalulekile ukuthi sazi ukuthi masebenzise ulwimi zethu or ulwimi lwethu. Singogogo nolusha. Kubalulekile gogo. Especially ukuthi bebengekho abanye. But okwesibili, as concepts sisebenzisayo lezesingisi masithetha nge-poverty, udoktor uthi indlala wentsokolo. I'm sure abadethu isiXhosa bayazi intsokolo. I-nutrition, the health. Abeca kwami u-Unk, I'm sure Unk singatsho kwisithi Unk in 2 years time ungakhona usisiza asebenzisane nozanele sibe ne-dictionary ekhona ukukhuluma ngayo i-poverty, i-nutrition. I'm sure ezinye i-concept ezikhoyo nje sisebenzise isintu singabantu bonke sihleli lapha, but kunzima ukusebenzisa isintu sithi sixobe sebenzise isingisi. But okubalulekileyo udoktor uraisa izinto ezi-5 ekufuneka sizaddress. ukuthi lapho sibuya kuma-institutions sine-expertise, sine-skills. Lezi zinto sinazo sisebenzisa kanjani ukuthi si-addresse ama-national priorities. Sidayi-7, but i-Rivone ne-Saka bafocusa kuma-national priorities ayi-4. But I'm sure uzane befane basho ukuthi lama-national priorities khuluma ngawaphi. Aphinde uDr akhulume ukuthi siwa-addressa lama-national priorities kuba sine-skills, sinema-institutions, siwa-enhance kanjani. And I'm sure ugogo bazakhona ukusiza lapho. But asisebenzise sonke nje abogogo abamhlophe Western trained no gogo, but sifuna usebenzisana no government. At a time apho uzanele asinikeze i-statistics, but siya alama masithi abantu abangu 50% of South Africans. I mean, we're talking about South Africa okwamanje ina 42 million. So the half of 42 million iyasokhola. Yini efuneka siyenzile masisuka la? Sithi in 6 months time sabe sicontributile sile collection ukwa-addressa i-poverty. Ejase ukuthi umama ukhoza kakho, because umama ukhoza une-farm. Yini lefuneka siyenzile? UDr ukhulumile ngayo. Yini lefuneka siyenzile? Sisize abantu abafana nabomama ukhoza ukuthi baya-addresse i-food shortage. Umama kaNewu lapha next to umama ukhe wenza i-poultry and kudala yenza. Singenza kanjani ukuthi eCakomma kaNewu kubekho abanye omama ne-youth athi a-transfer skills kubo. Ngeke uzalele ukuthi a-reflect on the national priorities. Ndicela si-reflect sile collective ukuthi first before si-discuss i-link masiqale sifumane i-common definition ukuthi yini intsokolo, so that si-understand sonke lapha yini intsokolo or i-poverty, yini nutrition, yini health. But usizile i-Rivone ifuthi jonga kule ncwadi yabhala ukuthi yini health, yini nutrition. Siyavumelana nayo xa the way bayibhala ngakhona, or sifuna eyethu i-definition esimple esizokhona ukusiza ukuthi siye phambili. Zane national priorities.
Ngiyabonga Vuyiswa. Ama-national priorities la esizosebenzisana neSACA ukuthi si-contribute kuwo ukuthi sincede ugovernment wethu. Si-identify i-social cohesion. Social cohesion. Ngazi ukuthi kukhona umuntu ongakwazi ukuchaza i-social cohesion esintu.
Masibheka ngosiko i-social cohesion, singahlala lana sithi ama-community wethu anabo ubuntu bambana kwabantu. Now, rather put it under ubuntu, masithi social cohesion, sithi to our communities and inawo ubuntu na. Always one thing afuna le ubuntu na. Baru ke bona go dira go tsara ka. Ke re ga re lebella taba e ya motho, re lebelle taba e nngwe gape. Ga re le batho ba batsho re le yana re tlhaga ko malokong a ne a namile. Ke ne ke sa dule fela le mme le ntate, ke dula le mme le ntate le nkgono le dikgaitsedi le bana ba dikgaitsedi le bana ba batho ba bang ba leng teng mo re namile. Ene ke mo bona mokgatlo o simollang motho gore go na le molao o re tshwaragantshitseng. Go tloga mo re lebella go tloga mo family re ya ka motho ka dira go ya mo go ke bona mone re kgona re re ngwana ga se ngwana wa lapa le le fela ngwana o ke wa motho gore a ka kgalwa ke nkgono mo motseng a ka kgalwa ke mme mo motseng a ka kgalwa ke malome nna ne ke nagana gore ka setso social cohesion re ya ha re lebelela ka sekgowa e tlo tsenya dilo tse dingwe tse re tshwanetseng le gale le ga e di tsenya yana di ne di le teng mo setsong sa rona ga re tla tsenya economy re tsenya dilo tsa culture jalo jalo mara ha re re botho economy teng ka gore maneo ga na le poultry wa itse gore go na le ba bangwe ba tla ba neya ka price and o na le botsalano le batho ba dutseng ka go rekisa dithoro ga gago ga e re yana ka ga o ya ko le-India le re go go fa kgogolo e ke 300 rand ga o sena yona radi go na le ka etsa nka ke tlhalosa yalo e social cohesion. Doctor, welcome. Dr. Mpatlele bo mme ba mmisi ra go amogela ga ra go sia thata ba tshwara.
Another one is sustainable development.
Ka mantswe a mangwe re buile ka dintlo ra bua ka di-surgery ra bua ka kitso e leng teng dilo tse ga di tlhakane di a kgona gore ga re dula mo fatshe re batla go dira jaana le jaana le jaana re ka ipotsa ra dintomba tse di ka re thusa yang gore re dire yang di-surgery tse di ka re thusa yang gore re dire yang kitso e leng teng mo e tla ira yang re tla isa yang gore e thusa yang ka mantswe a mangwe go dira jalo tsotlhe tse re di ankantseng gore di etse di ka bana le botshelo bo bo telele ka gonne di na le institutions and kitso e lokelang gore re ntshe mo sekgweng gore re lebelele ka borona ne ke batla go share something le bona ha re le ko Freedom Park go gona le gore re amogele baeti ya tle ke makale le we ha re amogela baeti ha o lebelela batho ba ba amogelang baeti ba ke boma kore ke bo Dr. Magao bo Zanele ke bo Dr. Mpatlele ba ba rutilweng ko gae gore baeti ba amogelwa yang mare ka gonne ba le mo sekgweng ba tsaya kitso e le thuto e le go gae ba e latlha ba kena mo ya sekgowa e ba sa itse ge go bana le tlhakatlhaka batho ba dula ba mo letsatsing ka setso ga ke bona motho a dutse mo letsatsing ke ya ke re mme sambrele ke sele ke mo sa dule ka mo tlase a ke re ke botho gore re ira yang gore re itse gore ga re simolola yana kitso e le e re e rutilweng ko lapeng ya batlegala le gore re ira yang gore kitso eo re e dirise se ke ra e latlhela ko kgakala ra re yanong amen events manager ga ke lebelela gore events manager go bua ka sekgowa gore events manager ko gae ba nthutile gore ke a konmaka ka mo ntlong nka organizer birthday party nka organizer lenyalo ga go na le leso a ke re ke go amogela baeti le go ba tshwara sentle re ira yang gore re bane le kitso ya gore ntho e ke yona e tla re thusang mo ntho e tshwanela e bile sustained development because that thing e relaya mo kitsong ya rona gore ape re tla kgona go tshwarelela ntho e re ira mare ga re adima re tla adima mo ga e le gore mo kitsong ya rona go na le dikobonyana tse dikhutshwane re tla adima re e bona gore ke dira yang ka bogolo segolo ga go the ke malome ke se ke itse gore ke dira ga go the motho ke rakgadi ga se rakgadi fela o rutile gore ke rakgadi ga go the ke mmangwane ke rangwane ke ntate ke mme ke kgaitse ga le yana o itse go godisa bana a ka nna ba le 16 years mare wa itse go lebelela bana a ba fepa ba tlhapise a ire gore mo a nna ba kgaleng re ira yang gore kitso eo e boe e tsene mo dilo tse tsa go the social cohesion sustainable development e be yona kitso eo e buang yang.
The third one is meeting basic needs.
basic needs ke motho tshwantse a bane le lelapa mo lelapeng mo go tshwantse go bane le metsi le dijo mo lelapeng le go bane le botho mo lelapeng le go bane le boitumelo batho kaofela ba ba dutseng mo they are actually looking after those things. Like Dr. Hamuto Ataku, Hans has stethoscope level. I'm sure in her mind that Kitoira Yang or Mutur how well about Pila. But half Pila, what I want to be to me. How want to be to me? What I found a Baha de Lapa. Ha Hale Lapa. What I found a Hokuta, Mola Pinglu, but Bana and the wood. I go already pre-level and I got Harun.
No, the fourth one is ensuring economic development.
We saw Simulote a medicinal garden for northeast KwaZulu Natal, Kaufili Mozambique. How am I gardening you? Marilu Zepe Kamoki medicinal plant garden, Kamoki Yamero. Yamero, it will come to the medicinal plants, Kidingaka Lebacha, or Melwata or Dingaka, Lebacha, the plants. And Yata Maya, high simula, we don't have a very good crop. Ukikela bo mmebale ba rekisa merogo e ko spa go ba bona tlhotlha e nang le profit ba kgona go sustain a garden ena ba kgona go fepa malapa ba bana le matla a go tswella pele so kere ke kopa gore yaanong ka gore ra itse gore go na le dijalo tse jewang tsa setso re di lebelele re ipotsa question e lengwe a ga re simolola ka tsone go tla kgona gore go nne go bane le di-profit na a re rona re le batho ba bantsho mo gotlhe mo re leng teng go jala tsona yana re di jala ka gore re itse gore di tla phedisa batho gape re di jala ka gore re itse gore ga di yo go di-supermarket ha re ka ruta batho ba rona ba di reka go tla bana le much more supply ya tsona than has ever been. And in that way then re batla batho ba na bo isa ba ithutileng economy gore ba re rute gore ha re ira yana how do we make sure gore re bana le profits, how do we make sure gore the profits tse di re thusa go tswelela pele ama ne wa rekisa dikgogo Dr. simolotse karine ya gage ya dijo jalo jalo I want to tshwaragana ka dilo tsa economic development e re gateng ra itse go gateng ka setso sa nna nka be ke re yana because now we've given them indigenous definitions, the four of them. We can already improve as we are going on. So I'll hand over back to you. Your question was, do we agree to adopt this as our program?
Thanks, Dr. If ogogo bayavuma ukuthi ogogo Dr. explain ukuthi siyaka doctor ukuthi yiyo ezawusiza si-address the three concepts, but also ndifuna ukubuyela kuzanele nakogogo sibona kubalulekile na I'm sure abogogo baza reflect kubalulekile na ukuthi si-define i-poverty, intsokolo or inhlupheko, or sisebenzise le uzanele asiphe yona, because uzanele kule document yakhe usiphe i-definition ye-health, indlela i-World Health Organization e-explaina ngakhona. Okwesibili baphinde basiphe uzanele i-definition ye-nutrition. Okwesithathu basipha i-definition ye-poverty. So into endiyifunayo manje kobogogo ukuthi siyayi-understanda zonke na ezi-definition zikhoyo lapho. If asi-understand masize nezethu ngoba kaloku zizawuthi zisisize masijonga i-project le sisanda ukuyi-adoptha ukuthi sizawu-establisha ama-medicinal plants and vegetable gardens kwindawo lapho sihlala khona. Miss Mazibuko.
Sorry, ra rata gore ka dira se le se bolelang fela dintlo tsa rona mo lekeišeneng di tletse rata ge e ka ba ka re batlela poleke ya gore re bjale dingaka re bjale ba re fa dipeo ba re batlela poleke ra bjala re ka bjala fela ka nako dijarata tsa rona ga di teng mo makeišeneng. They are very small. Gore o ka ira re palwa fela ke go ira a table garden ka mo jarateng. Ba ile ba re ruta sona ge re tsena dikolo tse sa bona tse sa nutrition le tsa dilo tsotlhe tse re di tsena. Ba ile ba ruta go etsa a table garden e re ka etsang fela garden e kana ka tafola mme ra bjala re itse pedi spinach re itse pedi whatever tse re ka di bjalang. Ga re na sebaka mo jarateng tsa rona ra rata.
Before so umama I'm sure uyanotha lapho ukuthi sizawusiza umama uyacela ukuthi sibasize ngomhlaba.
Nna ke tshepa gore la ntseba ke nna mananeo ke mo agriculture mame nna kopa gore isa se seng mo agriculture e re dumeletse kaofela dintlo tsa rona ga di na probleme. Wena ga o batla land wa e identifya o ya ko agriculture ba o rekela yona ga o e patele ka next wa e lisa for 3 years. After 3 years o tla qala o patala nothing o ka e patelang ga e ka ba sente ntho go leng o batlang go etsa o tlo e etsa ko mara nna ne ke rata gore maybe o kare ga o ka kry-a e le gore ngwana gao maybe o na le only a small yard ka mo morago o qale o etse only a chicken poultry e ka tshwarang 10 chickens o tlo tswela pele ka tsona.
Siyabonga kakhulu njengoba nami benginesifiso vele sekubuyela kule ndawo ngoba sinenkinga nanathi besilima ngendlela lekahle kodwa ngokwanda kwemizi kuye kwayithatha indawo yethu. Ngaloko ke uma ugovernment angasenzela ubuhle njengoba siqala ukuva namhla lapha kumuntu omkhulu echaza athi ukhona umnyango la singathola kusizakala khona besingazi. So ngaloko ke uningi lwethu asazi ukuthi makunje ufanele uphume ungene kuphi. Sekuyilapho ke utawukhona ukwazi bese uyazi ke ukuthi nakuso uqala kanjani ukuze uqhubeke kuye phambili. Kuyiqiniso elikhulu ukuthi lapha emizini yethu lezi ndawanyana ezincane kakhulu kuyaye kwenzekeke uthi uyakwenza lokho leyo ndawanyana ezincane futhi singabelana sifikela inhlobo yeziguli ezingafani ngaloko-ke iy'guli ezingafani ezinye zilahlekelwe ngumqondo ezinye senze njalo. So ngaloko-ke le ndawonyane yakho usebenzisa ukuhlukanisa ukuthi ngingasebenza kanjani ngabantu abanje. Uma sithola lo mnyango njengoba ugogo echaza, nasi besifisa lokho ukuthi kuhle sithola indawo la kulungiswa khona nje ukuthi la wena utawulima ugcine la, wena ulime vele singabe emhlaba ngoba vele siyalima. Ngiyabonga.
Mangibonge kakhulu nami. Sisibuswa bendi baqala ukuthi siya-adoptana mhlawumbe i-definitions ezibekwe lapha. Bendiphakamisa mna ukuthi masizi-adopteni ngendlela ezichazwe ngayo. Uma ngabe mhlawumbe okanye kukhona okunye okungathi kungangezeleleka lapha, mhlawumbe sothi njengoba sesikhuluma njena sibe sesikufakele, kodwa ndiyibona ngathi ikahle indlela elizwe ngakhona. Ngiyabonga. Coming to yona le ndaba lena yokulima, bazali bami, empeleni ngathi sikuyona leyo. Ungathi singawuthola umhlaba lapho bobo siza khona ukuthi sifundisane abo baziyo. Kodwa okukhulu kakhulu engikubonayo njengokuba ubaba uSirokisela akhulumile lapha ukuthi into yonke esiyenzayo kufuneka into basiyibone ukuthi izukhona na ukusustaineka na, ikhulise nabantwana babantwana bethu, ingapheleli esithubeni. I think iyanideka baba wami ukuthi masifumane i-education ephelele singabantu ukuze sizokhona ukuthi into esiyenzayo siyenze in a full scale ukuze ikhone ukuthi isiphilise. Ngiyabonga.
So if siyavumelana sonke sigogo ukuthi i-definitions esiziphiwe i-Rivone ye-health, ye-nutrition, ye-poverty ukuthi siyazi-adopta. Ugogo uthe siyazi-adopta, so zathatha ezithi bonke ugogo ukuthi i-definition siyavumelana ngazo. Okwesibili siyavumelana noko kunyuswe ngudoctor athi i-contribution yethu siyile collective sizawu-establisha ama-medicinal plant and vegetable gardens. Okwesibili sikadoktayo lokho. But ogogo bathi kuba ezilokishini umhlaba mncane, the forums esihlala kuzo. So kubalulekile ukuthi i-Rivone i-assiste abogogo bafumane umhlaba. I'm sure i-Rivone mayisiza abogogo kubalulekile ukuthi sijonge ezinye initiatives ezenzekayo lapha country, more especially lapha eGauteng. I-ARC i-train abogogo ukuthi baplante ama-medicinal plants. So okubalulekile ukuthi i-Rivone funeke ilinke ne-ARC. Okwesibini, i-Gauteng Department of Health in the pilot project. Le pilot project yabo by-explore where bafuna ukungenisa i-herbs ku-primary health care. So okubalulekile le discussion funeke silinke kwezo initiatives ezenzekayo ngoba kulula masibenza ne-ARC ukuthi sithole umhlaba. But also okubalulekile abogogo funeke siyibone lento singasebenzi ugogo ngamnye as a collective, because if sithi of twine siyofuna umhlaba kulula ukuthi umeya amameli maniya as a group. Naxa uya uyi-one uthi ufuna ukwenza ifama yakho or igarden. If siyavumelana ke bogogo ukuthi siya-adopta i-definition, siya-adopta i-definition ye-health and nutrition ne-poverty. Okwesibili siya-adopta ukuthi i-project ezasiza kule collective or i-way forward ye-medicinal plants gardens. But okwesithathu i-responsibility ye-Rivone ukuthi isize ukuthi sithole umhlaba plus ne-training from kwi-Agricultural Research Council. Besithi-ke mase sisuka lapho kwezinto sikhuluma ngazo, udoctor uraise izinto i-question eziyi-4. So okubalulekileyo esimuva phambili kufuneke simane sibuyela kwezi questions eziyi-4 ngoba uthe sibuya kwi-institutions sine-expertise sinogogo sihleli lapha nje sinama-skills. Zonke ezi skills sizasiza ukuthi si-addresse or si-contribute kwi-national priorities. Uzane nalo-doctor bakhulumile ngazo. Already sithi kwezo national priorities sizawustarta nge-medicinal plant gardens and farms. But enye into efuneke enza ngaphela kuyo lokho gogo lithi sizibona sisebenza kanjani no-government. Si-identify i-ARC. Si-ARC ifuna isitrayine, i-ARC ifuneka isize sithole umhlaba. But zeziphi ezinye i-department esinosebenzisana ngazo ukuthi si-addresse the 4 national priorities.
Can I concern ecological discussion here on deep gardening and growing nature and things like that. I don't know if referring to Abu Gogo means including their children and their grandchildren, because if you teach Gogo wine, they are not going to live forever. So I think I would prefer to actually emphasize on my generation and the ones coming after me, because that's how we're going to sustain the development. We can't teach the ones who are already, much more grown up, and they also need to be, they're probably at that age where they need to be more supervisory role than actively growing these things, But people they shouldn't be running around gardening, and all those things. So I think we should emphasize on the fact that to grow those things, therefore to sustain. Because, it's something that my grandmother taught my mother. We had a garden, even though there was no obligation. We managed to have a garden, something which I stopped. But now that I have children, I've seen the need. So I've identified a patch in my garden as well. People to my garden. So I think we really have to be aware of the agricultural council and all those things. We need to include the youth because Kerala sustain and development is so
maybe so we can taking off from what you said. We can then put it, how do we sustain extended families based on the
You go or contribute. But also a doctor. Doctor, sorry to put me before again. This niggas an example in a project ends where X was on a time. Labo CBs are 3 in 1. Unabo mama, une youth, unama traditional healers. Yeah. So it's a model for all SB farmer who will follow that. But how do we ensure that youth participate? And I'm sure also it's a challenge for adults and any other institution. Roundtable it's youth, single city, only how do we ensure we mobilize youth to participate? Because those are the future leaders of this country.
Ngiyabonga lesi sikhathi ukuthi ngikwazi ukukhuluma. Indaba yokukhuluma nabantwana ukuthi sonke isigodi sazi ukuthi abantwana kufunekile ukuthi bazi ukuthi balima kanjani, into ebalulekileyo. Kodwa njengoba uDoctor eke washo ukuthi masithatha abantwana sibasa ey'koleni bayafika lapha esikoleni bafunde into yasesikoleni mase bebuya beza ekhaya abasafuni ukuthenda izinto zasekhaya abasifundiswa ekhaya sengazathi bekungaba khona ukuthi kuyo le round table enjengale besingacela othisha laba bafundisa i-life skills njengoba namhlanje i-nutrition ne-health issues nezinto zabo zempilo nje yonke ziku-curriculum ye-life skills bengithi sicele ukuthi i-Ministry of Education mayibe nesandla kulento esiyenzayo ngoba i-Ministry of Education iyona le yakudala kuze kubena namhlanje eqala ngokuthi uma ungumntwana ongena esikoleni khohlwa ukuthi ugogo ukufundisile funda lento thina sikutshela ukuthi uyifunde bese ke ingane nathi nje sikhule kanjalo sazi ukuthi into yasekhaya eyasekhaya into yasesikoleni okuyiyona nto le yenza ukuthi thina singabantu abansundu singafani namaNdiya singafani namaChina bona bahlanganisa yonke into yasekhaya impilo yasekhaya amasiko abo bawabambe kahle ngaso sonke isikhathi ngani ngoba noma befunda lesikoleni befunda bethini kodwa mabengena ekhaya bayazi ukuthi ngeke ngibe umuntu ngeke ngibe nesupport yabantu bakithi yesizwe sakithi nabasekhaya uma ngingazi isiko lakithi nanokuthi sikhuluma kanjani nanokuthi senza kanjani so ngiyabengcela ukuthi kule le Rivone siqale sibone ukuthi othisha mhlawumbe siqale ngayo i-ministry njengoba i-Ministry of Agriculture ikhona bangaba ngama-partners.
I'm sure Zanele, thanks Anke. I'm sure capturing Zanele ukuthi irresponsibility Rivone like ikhulume Department of Education, and I'm sure Rivone also I'm sure isebenzisa udoctor aphinde udoctor mayidibana nominister we-agriculture angaraise only i-ICSA araise i-issues ze-Rivone especially ezinto ziraiswe u-Anke. Masimuva phambili uZanele uthe mayikhuluma wakhuluma ukuthi there is a link between poverty, nutrition ne-health. Besithi abogogo masiyidiscuss siyi-understand ukuthi zihlangana kanjani lezi zinto ngoba if siyasikhuluma ukuthi zihlangana kanjani kulula masenze iproject ye-medicinal plant vegetable gardens ukuthi siyi-understand ukuthi ziyasebenzisana yeyiphi enkulu izithi poverty enkulu because if siyi-addresse yona then kulandele i-health emva koko i-nutrition. I'm sure abo-doctor bangakhona ukuthi basize lapho yeyiphi enkulu efuneka siyi-addressile between first i-link first three concepts sikhuluma ngazo but okwesibili yeyiphi enkulu ukuthi if siyi-addressile okokuqala ezakhona to assist us to address the two.
Okay, I think it can follow Malimi has money. Can I follow every clock? Okay, the three my able clock a definition. It's over health, general well-being. You can't have health if you're poor, if you're living in poverty. And you can't have general good health if you don't have nutrition. But I think if we live a health, then we live a jilote, feed down health, everything. I don't know if I answered your question.
But I'm sure of will respond to the agreement. udokotela lapho utsho uthi uvumelana noZanele uZanele mayekhuluma ukuthi lezi concepts sikhuluma ngazo ziyahlangana but ukuthi also kubalulekileyo if uaddressa i-health so kulula ukuthi ube uaddresse i-poverty ne-nutrition so
if you have help.
yes ukuthi ogogo bayavumelana yena udokotela ukuthi kunjani.
I think the main point is poverty. Ubudidi bo bogolo gore o tswe mo bodiding and then o phele sentle o tswe ka mo bodiding ga tse o iphitlhile ka mo bodiding o sena se o se jang sa health a wa batho nna ke bona kare ke poverty a ke itse nkare ke bodidi.
Because poverty ke yona ya pele o ka se kgone go phela sentle go sena sa gago ntho ya mathomo.
Wena ke tse bogogo ke re ke la ka leo ka le nna be ke nyaka gore o phele health ke ge o ntšhitše bodidi o ka se dilo tše o tshwanetseng gore o di kry-e o go phediša gabotse ke ge go tlogile bodidi bo o kgona go phela gabotse.
Okay, mohlomong a re ra kwešišana because ke lena ke a kry-a le leng mara nna ka mo ke kwešišang question e tswileng ko siteng ena ke gore na ke eng ntho e leng gore out of these three e botlhokwa and then e akaretsa tše dingwe e be nna ke re ke health ke go phela gabotse and go lebala go phela gabotse o na le all those things tša balance ya spiritual, social, mental, emotional o ka se be le tsona if o sena dijo so ke nnete o tlhoka dijo le wa bodiding o tla dira gore o se ka ba le health but I think nna ke kwešiše gore na what are we ultimately building towards everybody o nyaka go ba le a general good health and o ka se be le yone if ga nna tso dijalo so dijo di botlhokwa nutrition e botlhokwa if o le modidi o ka se be le general good health because modidi ba ka tlhola ga ona lelapa ga ona ntlo ga ona eng o phela o le depressed o le sad mo moyeng o phela o le fatshe and all those things so those things se di address ke nnete but ultimately goal ke eng to be the general good health a ke tsebo nna ke ile ka mo kgone gore ka mo ba kwešiša
ke nka go re ya dumellana ke ka go hangaka e bua o na buile tabeng ya gore na e ka godimo ya bohlokwa e ka sefong efe ene mo mme ke nka gore ga ba bua le ngwane ba re ga re shebeng bofutsana pele ke nka gore di a dumellana ka gobane ga o sheba gona ke efe